ArenaNet dropped their second major developer update, and it's all about their design philosophy for Guild Wars 3. They take shots at the predatory state of modern live service games, talk about innovation and the path forward for MMOs, and make their intentions to players crystal clear. My name is Kodiak, this is Legacy Gaming, and today we'll take a hard look at what the developers said and share our thoughts on some of the most interesting bits of news. Let's start with the first major pillar, and honestly, this one deserves a round of applause. ArenaNet has officially confirmed that Guild Wars 3 will follow a pure buy-to-play model, no monthly subscription fee. For longtime fans of the franchise, that's not a surprise. ArenaNet has won awards for having the fairest business model in the industry for years. But they didn't just stop there, and this is where it gets interesting. Colin Johansson, ArenaNet's studio head, points out that in the modern landscape, the standard MMO subscription model didn't actually disappear, it just put on a different facade. Modern live service games and MMOs are flooded with what he calls hidden subscriptions. We're talking about paid battle passes, seasonal reward tracks, and premium progression tiers. They are cleanly packaged as optional, but they are explicitly designed to create a psychological obligation. They hold your attention hostage by threatening you with FOMO, or the fear of missing out, if you don't play every single day to finish a track that you paid for. ArenaNet is drawing a line in the sand. Guild Wars 3 will have no monthly fees and no battle pass subscriptions, period. You buy the box, you play when you want, and when they make content expansions that are worth your money, you buy those to support the game. From a consumer perspective, this is an absolute undeniable win. It is a player-first stance that the industry desperately needs right now. But we have to look at the macro environment too. Right now, Guild Wars 3 is sitting in an incredibly unique, highly lucrative position. As it heads towards its 2027 beta, there is virtually zero major new-gen MMO competition on the horizon. The runway is clear for them to take and capture the market, and that brings us to a really fascinating crossroads that we need to keep in mind. What happens if Guild Wars 3 becomes a massive runaway critical success? When a game explodes to that level, the pressure to scale infrastructure, expand development teams, and maximize earnings becomes a real factor. Historically, we have seen studios start with beautiful, pure intentions, only to subtly tweak their philosophy down the line when the dollar signs get too big to ignore. I'm not saying ArenaNet will succumb to those pressures. They have a pretty clear and positive track record, but you have to wonder if they will truly stick to their guns when they realize they have a potential once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. As always, our stance is to go into any new game we are generally positive about with cautious optimism, but always be on the lookout for those potential red flags. If there are no subscriptions or battle passes, you might be wondering how an MMO survives between major expansions. Johansson addressed this by defining their boundary on pay to win. Cosmetics, completely fine. Account services, also fine. And the big one, time-saving convenience items are acceptable. Now, this has always been a bit of a gray area as far as how players perceive these types of benefits. Historically, players are split. On one hand, cosmetics are completely harmless to gameplay. If someone wants to drop $20 to look like a glowing celestial god while they explore the frontiers of ore, go for it. It funds the game, it keeps the servers running, and it doesn't give them a competitive advantage over other players who earn their gear in-game. But time-saving convenience items like bag slots, bank space, or experience boosters create a much more interesting dynamic. Technically, it isn't direct pay to win. Buying more bank space doesn't make your fireball hit harder in PvP, and it doesn't make you a more proficient raider, but it does provide a utility advantage. The lukewarm reception this model sometimes gets across the broader MMO community stems from a fundamental design worry. When a developer sells the solution to an inconvenience, they are inherently incentivized to build that inconvenience into the core loop of the game. If inventory space is tight and the game showers you with 50 different types of crafting materials, is that an organic gameplay mechanic, or was it designed to gently nudge you towards opening your wallet in the cash shop? Again, we can point to ArenaNet's long track record of designing games that players widely love and praise, but it's one of those things that's going to linger out there until we actually see how it plays out in the gameplay. This is going to be especially noticeable at the start of the game's life cycle when everyone is starting from a 0 point, but after a few years, those convenience benefits will most likely be as common as they are in other modern MMOs like World of Warcraft in Elder Scrolls Online. Ultimately, people are either going to love this model or hate it. Personally, I think it's fine. If a player has a full-time job and limited free time, and they want to spend a little extra cash on a convenience item to speed up a minor element of their progression, while simultaneously supporting the developers who are keeping the game free of those mandatory subs, that's a healthy trade-off. As long as those premium options stay light years away from statistical enhancements, gear scores, or competitive perks, it should, in theory, protect the integrity of the game. Now, let's talk about the design pivot that's turning some heads, and honestly, it's the most measured and brilliant strategic decision discussed in the entire article. Johansson explicitly states that Guild Wars 3 lands right near the middle of the MMO spectrum. To understand what that means, look at what ArenaNet has built so far. On one extreme, you have the original Guild Wars, technically a cooperative online RPG, which is highly instanced, focused on tactical small team group dynamics, where you only ever saw other players in social hubs. On the opposite side of the spectrum, you have Guild Wars 2, which built its entire identity on massive open-world mega servers, hundreds of players rushing into gigantic-scale map meta events, and chaotic world bosses. Johansson made it very clear, Guild Wars 3 will not try to replicate the large-scale gameplay pillars of Guild Wars 2. Instead, they're hitting the gap right in the middle. Early details from the Steam page indicate that we are looking at an open world more akin to Fallout 76 or Diablo 4, a shared world where you'll seamlessly run into maybe 20 or 30 other players coming together for localized events, but without the chaotic 150-player encounters. From a business and community perspective, it allows Guild Wars 1, Guild Wars 2, and Guild Wars 3 to coexist without cannibalizing each other. ArenaNet isn't just killing Guild Wars 2 to make room for Guild Wars 3, they are building a different experience. This also allows them to experiment with different types of combat and movement, a core area of focus for the team. If you have played Guild Wars 2 or really any modern MMO, you know that when 100 players stack on a single boss, the screen becomes an unreadable visual nightmare of particle effects, and active combat physics completely break down. By shrinking the player scale in the open world, ArenaNet is introducing a brand new engine built for momentum-based, highly action-oriented combat. Think about that. The free-form movement where you can slide, leap, sprint, and transfer your momentum across a beautifully rendered frontier. You can't have precise, high-impact skill-based action combat if the server has to calculate physics for 100+ people spamming abilities on the same patch of dirt. They are clearly prioritizing mechanical depth, visual clarity, and tactical positioning over sheer player count. They will still have structured content like PvP and dungeons, but by abandoning the chaotic zergs, they are giving themselves the space to actually push the MMORPG genre forward. The final pillar centers around respecting players' time and eliminating the idea that an MMO has to feel like a second job. Johansson notes that if a player only has 30 minutes to play, they shouldn't spend all 30 of those minutes sorting through inventory junk, managing menus, or doing chores before they actually get to go have fun. Now, let's be real for a second. As someone who grew up in the golden era of MMOs, the tedium built into the games is part of the experience. But now, in 2026, a massive portion of the core MMO demographic is in their mid-30s. We have families, we have kids, we have careers. We don't have those same 6, 7, or even 8 hours a day to dedicate to a game. So on paper, the death of the MMO chore simulator sounds pretty freeing. But there is a balancing act here, and it's something I genuinely worry about: the over-streamlining of the genre. If you strip away too much friction, a game can very quickly lose its entire identity. Part of what makes MMORPGs feel so deeply magical is the sense of true immersion, getting lost in a world that feels vast, dangerous, and indifferent to your schedule. It's about watching your character slowly take those steps to shape themselves in real time, where the items you pull out of your bag actually mean something because you had to work for them. If a game streamlines everything into instant gratification, fast traveling, click and done checklists, it stops feeling like you are watching your character progress in that living world. The checklist element of modern gaming is fine, but only if it ties directly into the immersive depth of the universe. If exploring every map and zone in Guild Wars 3 exposes us to different factions, distinct racial cultures, and deep untapped lore like the enchanting frontier of Ore mentioned on the Steam page, then that efficiency works beautifully. But if those systems dissolve into artificial bloat just to keep us engaged for short bursts, it's going to be a major issue. What we ultimately need from Guild Wars 3 is a game that successfully captures that timeless MMO nostalgia, the friction, the wonder, the sense of community, while modernizing the ancient systems that actually need to be modernized for a 2026 audience. And that, my friends, is a razor-thin tightrope to walk. When you look at the big picture, ArenaNet's philosophy about Guild Wars 3 is one of the most refreshing, clear-eyed developer updates we have seen. In an era where live service games are constantly trying to extract every single dollar and minute of attention from your life, a major studio stepping up to say, no subscriptions, no battle passes, we respect your time, and we're building a tighter, more focused game, is exactly what the doctor ordered. If they can resist the temptation to monetize the game aggressively when it inevitably achieves critical mass, and if they can find that perfect sweet spot between a streamlined experience and deep immersive world building, Guild Wars 3 could easily become the defining MMORPG of this generation. Not like they have much competition. Regardless, we are at the very beginning of this journey, but you better believe Livid, myself, and the rest of the Legacy team will be jumping in on day one, so if you want a guild to call home, be sure to join us on Discord and start locking in because Guild Wars 3 will be here before you know it. And of course, if you want more Guild Wars 3 videos in your feed, do me a solid, hit that thumbs up, and consider subscribing. We'll be covering every aspect of the game, so keep it right here and never miss a thing. My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.